This is Ron Hoffenstein, and we're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Men's health, both physical and mental, is a topic that often gets overlooked in our culture and in the media too. So today I'll be talking about that with Erik Fredsell. He's a power lifter and a co-owner of the Fitness Mill. We're also going to talk to our friend Brian Lazore. He's a photographer and a journalist. We've been covering some stories together for his business, the Lazore Photography. Erik, let's start with you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So what is it? I did some research on you. I've known you from the gym, but what is a power lifter?
Somebody who is lifting heavy weights, bench, squat, deadlift.
So let me just ask you probably get this asked a lot, but like how much do you lift, like when you squat, for example?
Me, my best, I've done 600, squatted, bench 450, and deadlifted 675.
Wow. And how long have you been doing this?
Been powerlifting since 2014. I've been lifting since I was 14 years old.
Oh, so about 10 years of like really serious, intensely powerlifting kind of stuff.
I mean, nobody in my family really lifted. None of my friends really lifted. I kind of just...
Oh, so why did you?
I just always was interested in lifting, but never really had anyone around me that knew what they were doing until I ended up going to the mill. And the original owner, LeMoyne College, was a student of my mother's.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Back when it was at New York Mills? I used to go there too, back to the original Fitness Mill.
Yep, so he knew my mother really well, my father, so I ended up going there, and I've been going there. You know, even when I moved to North Carolina, I ended up, every time I went back, I would always go back to the mill. Then Alex took over, built that beautiful facility. I came back up from the grand opening in 2021.
So you started about the time you were age 14. How old are you now? About like you've been doing
I'm going to be 38 tomorrow.
So you've been doing it about 20 years. So like really, you've been doing this for 20 years now.
Yeah.
So the first 10 years just like went there to work out and just like lifted weights?
Yeah, because I was playing soccer.
You were playing soccer. You played other sports like in high school and all that?
I played soccer and I played baseball. I mean, I played soccer for Coliseum Soccer Club around here. My father started the Utica Rhinos soccer club.
Oh, yeah?
With another guy, Alex Colano. And at one point they had 33 teams.
Now, so was there a point like where you were just like going to the Fitness Mill and lifting weights and working out where you thought to yourself like, where you decided like I'm going to like treat this really as a sport, as a serious thing?
Yeah, probably after I graduated from Utica College, I decided I'm going to actually look up the science of nutrition, look up the science of lifting. You know, I started reading articles from Casey Budd, and then I was looking at different programming. I mean, back then there was really only teenage, and YouTube wasn't a thing back then. So
yeah, right.
You know, there wasn't this dearth of information that there is now.
It's kind of interesting because that's true, and it's a really good point. It's like now if you want to get into this, really any level of commitment, you can look up. Like I actually looked up 56-year-old bodybuilders to like get tips, especially for me. But like back then, like 20 years ago, there wasn't quite so much out there. It was kind of like just the magazines, and there was always kind of like more general information.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad information.
Yeah.
I did a lot of things back in the day, programming wise, that
like
smart.
What did you do? Like when you started to like get serious about this, like what did you look up, or how did you approach it?
I was doing a lot of programs by Chad Waterbury, a lot of cluster sets, trying to go to failure.
And like what is that? Like a cluster set or a program?
So you'll do, you know, say you got 3 sets of 10 program for the day, and you'll take about 10-second break, and you'll try to do as many as you can after that 10-second break, doing the first set of 10. So if you do 10, you'll try to get 3, 4 more reps after the 10.
So it's kind of like it's the amount of
You're trying to fatigue your muscle as much as you can.
The sets, right?
Yeah.
Is that the set? Like a set contains the reps, like the.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of that, and that's when I was mainly focused on bodybuilding, and they go hand in hand.
Yeah. What made you decide, like, after you graduated, that, like, it was something you wanted to be more serious about?
I've always been interested in lifting from playing sports, you know, and I just had more time to dedicate to lifting since I wasn't in school anymore, and I wasn't playing
It's kind of a way to.
competitively anymore either. So
I was gonna say it's kind of a way to like stay athletic once you get done with your education, is to do something like this. So,
you know, I had guys that I played at the top level with. I mean, we went to nationals 3 times when we were 15, 16 years old.
as a bodybuilder.
As for soccer, and
Oh, for
I'd
soccer.
seen them, you
Yeah.
know, basically after we got out of college, they just let themselves go. They never looked like
Oh,
they stepped foot
man.
in the gym or played a sport in their life, so I didn't want that to happen to me.
That's the really good point, because I think that I think for a lot of people, guys, but especially about like 24, I know for me, like age 24, 25, my metabolism slowed down, and it was a big shock, and I gained a lot of weight. And it's like that happens kind of like, I think that's a point in people's lives where they have to be ready to like recommit to exercising. And if they don't, you see what happens.
Yeah.
You know?
It's definitely a point in your life where you got to make a decision, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think nowadays there's a lot more information, good information out there. You know, when I started, there was not that great information.
Well, so like if you had information that wasn't so beneficial, like that you were starting with, like what happened? Like it didn't, like you just didn't get the results right away that you expected, or?
When it came to powerlifting, I mean, you know, same thing with bodybuilding. You know, if you're not putting on enough size, probably should eat more, probably focus more on strength training, and then slowly start to cut weight. But, you know, for powerlifting, I was listening to a lot of seminars, reading a lot of research papers by Dr. Mike Soros. The big thing back when I first started was daily undulating periodization for programming.
What is that?
So you would do the main compound lift, squat, bench, deadlift, or some variation of the lift 3 times a week, 4 times a week, depending on what you could handle. Problem is, when he first came out with this research, there was never really any thought going into like the long-term deleterious effects on the body from just constantly increasing the weight. Yeah.
What are the
That's
effects?
what happened to me. Like I started to.
What happened to you?
I just started to get joint inflammation. My SI joints started getting inflamed.
Oh, I hear that too.
It's bad.
Actually.
And
What causes that?
just overuse. I mean, you know, too much fatigue deficit. It could be, you know, multiple things.
Yeah.
Your morphology, forms not proper. But I think back then there was a lot of issues where people are like, you know, because it does work. I mean, you know, you squat, bench, deadlift 3 times a week. You're going to get stronger.
What is involved in that? Because I think for a lot of people, like even though I go to your gym and stuff, I don't really understand the science completely. But I wonder, like, I think some people must think like you just go in and like lift a weight and then lift a higher weight, lift a higher weight, and lift higher, just keep more and more and more. But there's like a lot to it than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally.
How do you know when to go up?
Physiology
For one
and
thing,
morphology, but it's literally dependent on the person. I mean, I've seen some people that, you know, are the top 1%, and they can, you know, start off at abnormal weights, deadlifting 500, 600 pounds, squatting 500 pounds, you know, benching 400 pounds, but that's not a normal starting point for most people. Most people, you know, start around the bar plus, you know, 45s on each side.
So
like
like
a healthy adult male.
Like a healthy adult male starts to work out and like starts with like the bar and just the 45 pounds on both sides. How long? How do they know like what do they have to do? Like what would you tell somebody like if you're teaching them, setting up a program for them? Like what would be involved?
I mean, I would just look at starting strength. It's a pretty good template. Just doing a 5x5.
What's that? What's a 5x5?
You're just doing each lift, you know, 5 sets of 5.
Five sets of 5.
And you go from there. Keep adding weight every week until you can't progress anymore.
So every week you would add a weight?
Yeah, until you can't progress anymore. If you're a beginner, you're starting off. I mean,
yeah,
you know, the length of time that you're a beginner, that you're intermediate or advanced lifter, it varies on the person. I mean, some people can make progress. You know, they can put 100, 150 pounds on their lift as a beginner. Some people can't.
I'm wondering, like, is it at all different, like, for people that are, like, they do this kind of stuff? Like, I do this stuff, but I use the machines instead of, like, the weights, like the free weights. And sometimes I feel like, sort of like, is that as good? And, I mean, I feel like it's as good, and it works better for me because I'm not good at, like, form, but is that just as good to use the machines?
I mean, I'm not
Or
really
a different
machine-
kind of thing. It's not like
I'm
for
not really
powerlifting.
a machine guy per se. For
What's the difference between the two?
I mean, compound movements have we have the greatest hormonal response doing compound movements, whether it's, benching, squatting, deadlifting, snatch, clean and jerk,
Yeah.
doing weight pull-ups, dips. I mean, machines can't replicate what, a
Is it
barbell.
because you have to put the effort into, like, standing correctly and keeping the posture
It's
correctly?
more,
or-
yeah, well, it's more isolation when you're on a machine. You're isolating specific muscle groups.
Like, why isn't that good though?
It is. It's
Oh.
just I try to tell people.
Probably for someone like you who's serious about it. Like,
Yeah,
you don't
even
need
I mean, you don't need to do heavy weight. I mean, I try to
Yeah.
encourage everybody, no matter the age, if they're physically able to try,
To
do
try
compound
free
movements.
weights.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to get under it, feel it, because it's going to help in the long run. It's going to
Like-
help with bone density.
Like somebody like me, like say if I wanted to, like, make the jump from the machines to the free weights, would I start out with like dumbbells, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I usually, especially
Gross.
younger kids, I like to see them start off with dumbbells to get the movement down, and then progress into doing barbell movements.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of the kids that are younger don't have stabilizer muscles, so their form's all over the place. It's easier to work
Oh, I
with.
see.
When,
And it probably helps you develop those stabilizer muscles too.
yeah, it's easier to work with when they have free weights first and can
Yeah.
work on their form than it is jumping directly into barbell movements.
So you probably mostly, like, even from the start, mostly use like free weights and barbells and stuff, right?
Yeah.
When you, after college, became more serious about this and like were ready to pursue it, how did you take those first steps into like competitive bodybuilding? Like, what does that entail?
I never did competitive bodybuilding. I would do competitions with powerlifting. I just
Like,
was
I
doing-
mean,
yeah.
powerlifting. Like, what is that? Like, that's just like who can lift the most weights,
It's
keeping a
different.
proper form.
It's changed over the years. I mean, now they use a dot score before they were using Wilk score.
What are those
predicated-
things?
It's predicated on your body weight, how much
Okay.
weight you've lifted.
Yep.
Lighter lifters tend to have a higher dot score, Wilk score, because they're
Oh, I
lifting
see.
more weight. relative
Like they get
to
kind of
their
like
body
more
weight.
credit for less weight.
Yeah, so when you're powerlifting competition, there's USAPL, there's USPA, there's different federations that
So,
have different rules.
Are you
different
like
weighing
in a league?
structures.
Were you in a league to do that?
No, there's no leagues. There's just different federations. So you work up to a meet, specific meet. Like we're putting on a meet June 14th.
Oh, really? At Fitness Mill. So what will happen on June 14th at the Fitness Mill?
So we're just having a powerlifting meet put together by the USPA, which we're having one September 27th as well by the USAPL.
Okay.
They're two different federations. They have different rules,
Yeah.
different weigh-in structures. USAPL, you weigh in 2 hours before you lift. USPA, you weigh in 24 hours.
What is that? Like, what's the difference?
So, some people, I've never been able to do this, but I know a lot of my friends who are lifters have done, pretty strict and large, water cuts. Some of them lost 20 pounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like between like the night before and
Yeah, they're able to shed a lot of water weight. Same thing that MMA fighters do or boxers do. They shed water
Yeah,
weight for
yeah.
weigh-ins.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for powerlifters.
So how does someone get into the competition like that you're gonna do on the 14th? Like, how did you get? Did you like go online and sign up, or do you have to qualify, or
So you just
audition,
go,
or?
you just go online and sign up. We post it
Yeah.
on our website. The way I did it originally, Dave Kingwater, who's a chiropractor in the area,
Mhm.
he trained with my best friend's father, Tom Brown, and they powerlifted. So I had seen him do plenty of meets, but
Right.
back then the meets were in like hotels, bars. They were in areas,
Yeah.
like they're in now. So I was always interested in doing it, but back then it was a different sport. It was more geared towards equipped lifting. They had
Towards what? Yeah.
equipped lifting, so they'd have squat suits,
Oh, I
knee
see.
wraps,
Oh,
deadlift
okay.
trunks, bench shirts.
Really? Yeah.
That I was
So
really
kind of like it
looking
was kind of like a marketing thing. You mean? Is that what you mean?
No, it was a different. It was a different era of the sport.
Oh,
you
I
know.
see.
They
Yeah,
had
yeah.
the equipment they used to lift. Now everything's this pendulum swung to. It's mainly just raw. Like equipped lifting
Really?
isn't as big.
Yeah,
Raw
yeah.
lifting is huge. The USAPL has exploded in popularity over the last 10 years.
How do you know like that someone's ready to like qualify? Like there's got to be like a certain amount of weight that you have to be able to lift to not be to just be like credible, right?
It's open to anyone. I mean, definitely the standards have changed over the last 10 years. I mean, from 2014, if you were 220 pounds, 1,500 pound total for the USAPL was a good total. Now,
So
you
it'd
have-
be now what would be a good total?
now you have guys that are. I mean, the weight class have changed too. So 232, 262. They're deadlifting 900 pounds,
Wow.
squatting 800 pounds.
So how much would someone who weighs 180 pounds normally be able to like be expected to like bench press in something like that?
It depends. I mean, I know Russell Worley, one of the best in the world. He benches about 450 to 475 on any given day.
Wow.
He can squat.
What would be like the
775.
minimum? That's the best. What would be like the
It all depends. I mean, I
Yeah.
tell people, if you're interested in the sport, just do a
Yeah.
meet. Then you'll love doing it.
Yeah, so like people like if people want to come and see it on the 14th, like how would they do that?
Just come down to the mill and come and watch.
Like for that event, like on June 14th, would they have to be a member, or could they just come to
No,
see
anyone
it?
can
Or?
come inspect it.
Yeah.
Last one we had was September 21st last year. It was packed.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
whole
well,
parking
hey,
lot was
we'll
packed.
have to talk more about that when we come back from the break. My guests today are Erik Fredsell. He's a powerlifter and co-owner of the Fitness Mill. Also, photographer and journalist Brian Lazore is here. I'm Ron Klopfenstein. You're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. I'll have more after the break. Media Monday. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I'm talking to Erik Fredsell. He's a powerlifter and the co-owner of the Fitness Mill. I'm also talking to photographer and journalist Brian Lazore. And Brian, you're a vet. You talk about vet issues on here a lot, and you said there's a Armed Forces Days coming up this weekend.
Correct. It's 12 to 2 at Harley Davidson of Utica over in New York Mills, and it's just an event to celebrate the Armed Forces Day, and they're going to have different acts, music acts performing in
nice.
honor of Armed Forces Day. I know Country Mike Bova got asked to perform.
Yep.
And they're going to have some other performers, and usually some of the local politicians do show up to this event, and it's open and free to the public as well.
Oh, it's free.
Yeah,
Great.
it's not
Great.
my event. I just
Yeah.
I'm
No,
gonna,
it's great to
I
promote
plan
it.
on being there, taking
yeah.
pictures and
Nice.
stuff like that, and I might do some kind of a fundraiser with the pictures instead of last
That's a
year I
good
gave them
idea.
out for free.
Yeah.
This year I might sell the pictures to do a fundraiser for veterans organizations.
That's a really good idea. Yeah. So you said it's this Saturday.
Yep, 12 to 2.
12 to 2, Harley Davidson,
Yep.
and that's on Commercial Drive in
Yep.
New Hartford, right?
Yep.
Right. And what is Armed Forces Day celebrates? Like all the different branches,
All the different
and
branches,
service and
yes.
stuff,
And
you know.
the newest one, the Space Force.
Yeah, right.
It's
So
part of
there's
that
that
now,
too.
so-
Yeah, yeah. So Brian, what have you been up to? You and I have been working on a lot of stuff together. We've been doing a lot of projects and media reports and stuff. And,
Yeah, I've been dipping my toes in doing, the freelance journalism type thing with you, and then even on my own when I get time. And then I still do my paid client photo shoots, and then,
Great.
I do a little bit of everything. I'm all over the place sometimes, but that's because I enjoy doing it. I do my podcast, I do my
And that's the way you got to be.
landscape animals and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But right now, my
Wait,
big,
what are landscape animals? Oh, you mean
or
your
landscape
photography.
and wildlife,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
and stuff like that. And I'm putting together portfolios, like physical portfolios, so I can start going around to, small coffee shops, stuff like that, see if they want to buy artwork to hang on their wall,
That's a good idea.
or
Yeah.
to hang it on their wall to sell on consignment, and then swap it in out new artwork.
Yeah.
And then I got accepted to the Remsen Art Festival.
Oh, hey,
Uh,
cool.
It's at the end of the month.
Is
up
that
in
like the
Remsen.
Barn Fest?
No, it's separate from the Barn Fest.
Oh, it's
It's with the
separate.
Remsen Community Arts Center.
Oh, cool.
Every year they hold a weekend art festival where artists, painters, drawers, sculptors, people like me, and then they do something. I believe I'm not sure if it's with the high school or the school, but they do display work for the youth too up there.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great.
Yeah.
You know. So I think something that the two of you both have in common, Eric and Brian, is like you both have a business, and you know, in a way, like for you, Eric, like when you went from like lifting weights for like just for like sports and we wanted to do to becoming serious about it and competing a bit, and Brian, when you go take the step from like taking pictures of stuff to like make it into being a photographer, it's like a big step. And I'm wondering, like, what is it? What kind of things do you have to think about to like make that step to go pro? You know, Brian, like, what did you do? Like,
well, as far as a photographer, first, you know, a lot of people know my journey in the community. You know, I'm a veteran with mental health issues.
Yep.
And I've been struggling since coming home from Iraq. So I started photography to help with my mental health.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm sure he knows as anything with you know, working out and stuff like that, if you don't take care of yourself mentally, then the physical aspect of your body goes downhill as well.
And kind of vice versa too.
So I've been struggling not only mentally but physically as well. You know, my weight's gone up and down. I've been in shape, out of shape. That all has to do with mental health too.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I sort of feel like men's mental health, our mental health gets ignored a lot. You know, and like for me, like both are kind of the same. And maybe Eric, you can speak to this too. Like just the reduction of stress from working out. Like I was talking during the break, I was telling Eric like I was at the fitness bar for like 4 hours about on Sunday, and like it was just like a great, like you put your earbuds in. There's like people around you, but like kind of like socializing, but you don't have to socialize much. It's like great for like just reducing stress. I think is that something like Eric you see too? Like it's good for mental and physical health.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's the best place to go if you want to de-stress. It's a great place to go if you want to make connections, like-minded people. I mean, that's how I made a lot of my connections. My life was through the gym. You know, even when I didn't live in this area, you know, I was always able to make friends at the gym.
There's something about, like, I think that everybody there is kind of like, they all approach it in different ways, but everybody at the gym is like for the same purpose, like health, looks, you know, all those kind of things. I think there's something good about that. You know?
Yeah, it definitely is something I think everybody should consider, especially if they're going through something, to get into the gym and
Right,
you know.
right.
It definitely helps with mental health too.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, it helps me a lot. Like when I'm under stress and like anxious stuff, and I have a very anxiety-filled life, you know, it's just it does help you a lot. Like, and I think that in a way, maybe I think one of the good things about gyms is like it's a way maybe for guys to sort of like work through those things in a way that's not like that feels comfortable, if that makes sense. You know, I don't know if you could speak to that. Like, what does exercise do for you mentally as well as physically?
I mean, for me, it just was able to, you know, work through anything that's going on in my life, help me think.
Yeah.
You know, things that, you know, especially when I was in college, you know, if I had papers due or tests,
Right.
help me relax, you know, not think about it for a while. You know, I know I can tell people who have problems in their life, breakups, divorces, whatever they're going through, you know. The gym will always be there no matter what you're going through.
That's a good point. It will always be there, and it's a place where you can like go there to be around other people, but not necessarily have to interact. You know, Brian, I think maybe we can like you understand.
Yeah,
that
I
too
mean,
at
I've
times.
been in and out of the gyms all my life, and you know, I go there to work out, and sometimes I feel like interacting, sometimes I don't. And a lot of people don't like to be bothered sometimes.
Right,
It just all depends on, you know, you read the crowd, like you do in the place else. Some people like to socialize, some people are there to just put their headphones in and get their workout in. And, you know, having struggled with my weight off and on throughout the years too, I think you probably could speak to this owner in the gym that, you know, I've been in shape and out of shape, and then once you get over that hump of actually getting into the gym and not be afraid of what other people are thinking, then you start seeing results.
Yeah.
Then you start feeling better about yourself, and you start going to the gym more and more.
And it's like weird. I think like sometimes I wonder like why people care so much about like, and I do too, like what other people think, and like why that's an obstacle to go to the gym. But it sort of is. And I mean,
mean, yeah, the first step is always the hardest.
Yeah.
One of our members, I don't know if you know him, Erik Fredsell.
I don't know.
He was like almost 400 pounds at one point.
Really?
He's down to about 215 pounds.
Wow.
He's worked his ass off for the last
Yeah.
2 years to
2
shed the
years.
weight. So same thing. I forget Dennis's last name, but same thing with him. He was close to 400 pounds. Weighs probably about 170. 180
That's
pounds now.
amazing. More than half his weight.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of stories of guys that, you know, weren't in a good place mentally and
Yep.
worked their asses off for years and dropped the weight, and now
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
they wouldn't miss it for anything.
And even like if you don't lose like massive amounts of weight, I think just like doing, just like, you know, exercising helps with, you know, just the exercising.
Yeah,
you know, it's
definitely.
like-
You know, definitely. There's that serotonin release.
Exactly.
Endorphins,
Yes,
yeah.
I was gonna say that the endorphins through the aerobic stuff. But I wonder, like, why is it sometimes that like it seems like men's issues like that do get kind of like don't get the attention that they do for women, like for that. Like, and when I think like, because I the class I teach at Utica College, the kids lots of times the students will like the topics that they choose for their papers. I'm surprised by how many male students write papers about like how upset they are by what people say to them, like on social media, about like how they look and like how big they are, like muscle wise. Like guys that are like jocks are like bothered by like other people, are like guys that are like jocks and you would think would have high self-esteem don't always do. And I'm wondering like why that is and like what can be done about that. Like Eric, you guys, like if you got someone coming in there like who wants to join the gym, it's kind of down on themselves. Maybe they haven't been successful to lose weight or stuff. Well, what do you say to them to like motivate them?
I mean, I just tell them hit the weight. That's the only thing you can really do.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna think about it, you're not gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're better off just doing it and not thinking about it.
It's almost like the same thing with mental health too. It, you know, plays a role in fitness too. You just got to jump in there and do it, and that's, you know, what I do with my photography. Of course, I have a lot of medical problems at the same time, but you just got to jump in there and do it. And, you know, people can talk to you till you're blue in the face and try
Right.
giving you all the advice you want, but
Yeah.
you have to take the initiative too.
Like that active step
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
like
it's
something.
100% true. I mean, I think nowadays social media warps everything.
Right. Right.
You have
Right.
these people on there, either filtered, photoshopped, or fake.
Yep. Yep. And it kind of makes people feel like they gotta like live up to that sort of thing. I think.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an impossible standard.
It is
to
impossible,
live up
right.
to.
Yeah.
You know.
So do you get people coming in like with expectations that are unrealistic?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, they're usually younger kids. They don't understand. You know, I mean, like when Liver King was blowing up, like you get kids asking you if he's on steroids. They don't know any better. Like, yeah, no shit.
Right.
he's on
Right. I know.
You know, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Right.
You're not gonna get like that eating, you know, beef testicles and
Yeah.
raw liver.
Yeah. Right.
You know, you're taking
Right.
some exogenous hormones, clearly.
Yeah.
But you want to be healthy, you know, and you want to look good. Best thing I can tell you is just, you know, come in to the gym, do the compound movements, do some cardio,
What do you mean by
Right.
compound movements?
squat, bench, deadlift. You know,
Oh, okay.
just clean and jerk, snatch. you
So
know,
like the
lifts.
weightlifting with free weights.
Yeah, and then cardio, and then, you know, you don't have to eat completely healthy, but 90% of your meal should be.
Well, what do you say to people that like, it's maybe because a lot of people probably start out doing this like after New Year's and like when summer's coming up, and what do you say to people that want to give up or that like are losing momentum or just not like?
Just stay focused. That's it. I mean, if you want to lose the weight, then you have to adhere to the standard that you set for yourself. If you're going to break that, you know, within a few months, then that's no standard. I mean,
Right. But most, you know, like Brian, how do you stay focused? How do you keep going and stuff?
Sometimes I wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I think
You know, I you know, struggling with mental health and PTSD and stuff like that. You know, I have my good days and bad days. You know, and on my good days, I just get out there and do it. And even when
Yeah.
I was working out, going to the gym and stuff like that. You just
But it's more than that.
sometimes you just have to do it.
Right, right.
I mean, the
And
first step is just doing it.
And
you
like
know?
for you, like the thing you're doing is your art, your photography and stuff. And I think like a lot of people maybe need to realize that I think people that do stuff like people that don't give up, and like us three, we don't give up, but we do give up at times. Like you get discouraged, and sometimes you think I'm never doing this again, but then you pick it up the next day and you go
Yeah,
back.
we're all
and, you know.
human, you know.
Yeah.
Just because we're in a certain profession or field or used to be this or that, you know,
Right, right.
doesn't mean you have to be that. You know, we're allowed to be weak too, you know.
Right. I mean, I'm sure, like, you know, we go out to cover stories sometimes, you and I, Brian. There's really no one to talk to. There's nothing really
Oh,
going
doing
on
photography is really, you know, lonely, especially, you know, I travel chasing wildlife, landscape, stuff like that.
Here. Yeah.
But I'm not a really big crowd person, so I like
Right.
hiding behind the camera because I like telling the story through my lens. I'm not
Yeah.
part of the story, I'm telling other people's stories.
Right,
So
right.
it makes it a lot easier.
So it's kind of like a way to be out there in the world, but also to have kind of like, to kind of keep your own sense of, like, space, too.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
then I do get a lot of, you know, I haven't really worked out a lot with weights lately, but, you know, being on my feet all day, for example, New Year's Eve, Big Utica, the
That's
past 2 years,
exercise.
I was there doing pictures.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
7-8 hours, and, you know, I wore a Fitbit to keep track of my activity level. I was over 20,000 steps. And by the time I got home, I could barely move because, you know, I worked my muscles so much walking around.
And then the next day, you always feel on those
Yeah.
days when you're a big story like
Yeah.
that, you know? Right, right. I think it's like, for me, being a reporter, it's kind of like how it is for you too. It's like a way that I get to go to stuff and like interact with people, but not get, like, you can have your own sense of distance too. Kind of like what I like about the gym is like there's other people there. You can talk to them if you want to. You don't have to. You can have your earbuds in, listen to music, but you're not completely. You're like doing your own thing, but you're not completely alone. You know, which is kind of like
Yeah, it's a community.
Yeah, yeah. You got lots of classes too, right?
Yeah, over 40 group classes that are all included in each share of the membership. So
And how do the
Those are-
memberships work? What do you tell us about that? We're going to a commercial here. We'll have more after the break. But what are your two memberships? You got standard. You got prime.
yeah, so the standard membership right now we're doing a sale, cheapest you're ever gonna find anywhere, $175 for the year for standard. You get all the group classes. You get sauna, tanning, steam room, and
Indoor track and use all
and
the
then
stuff.
The prime membership, it's $249 for the year. You get unlimited use of the hydro massage bed. You can bring guests whenever you want, anytime, and you get 15% off the supplements we sell at the gym. We're selling the top brand supplements at the gym. Plus, you get everything you get with the standard membership.
Great. Well, we'll talk a little more about that after the break. We'll also introduce you to Lily Christopher. She's a new intern, and she's going to talk about how she's going to make the Hot Seat Media Monday. We're going to get up on Twitch, so we're going to talk about that after the break. Today we're talking to Erik Fredsell. He's a powerlifter and co-owner of the Fitness Mill, and photographer and journalist Brian Lazore. I'll have the video, podcast, and show notes online Wednesday at uticaphoenix.net/Media Monday. I'm Ron Klopfenstein. More after the break. Bank of Utica. This is Ron Klopfenstein, and you're in the hot seat on a Media Monday. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I'm talking to Erik Fredsell. He's a powerlifter and the co-owner of the Fitness Mill, and photographer and journalist Brian Lazore. But before we go back to him, I want to introduce you to someone. Her name is Lily Christopher. She is going to be a senior at LeMoyne College this fall, but this summer she's going to be interning here at Utica Phoenix Hot Seat Media Monday. Lily, welcome to the station.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be a part of the Utica Phoenix this summer.
We are so excited to have you because you're going to help us get this show onto Twitch, which is super exciting. That's the place to be. So what is Twitch?
Twitch is like a platform where it's a lot of streaming, a lot of media watching, very much geared towards a younger generation. My age, I'm 21, geared towards very much a younger audience.
Yep. So now, what drew you to media? You're going to be in your 4th year. What is your major?
My major is communications. What drew me to media was mainly just to creativity, how very much with advertising and the power of creativeness, it draws people to your content, which gives them news. Being informative and persuading people towards a topic they're interested in is very important.
That's exactly it. That's exactly what we want here at this station. I'm so excited about this Twitch, about you getting us onto Twitch, and It's going to be a great way for people to follow this show and to another way to live stream, because they can stream now at 955theheat.com, but it'd be great if they can see it as well as hear the show. It'd be really cool and stuff. So what have you learned so far? I'm sure you learned a lot in communications. What have you learned about radio? Do they teach about this still in communications?
Yes. What I've learned a lot about radio is...
We're still here.
We're still here. What I've learned a lot about radio is a lot about just speech and what you could do to make everything... share your thoughts, share your information of what you want to talk about, but make it condensed and make it informative where people pull the needed information out of what you're saying. Setting tone is important, how you want your news to be. Persuade if it's something upbeat, saying it upbeat, or if it's an unfortunate story, say it kind of with like a down undertone. Like it's all about persuasion, and learning about radio is definitely even though that it's called communications, each and every piece of media you learn, whether or not it's radio, TV, writing, it's very different because a lot of people blend podcasting and TV is the same thing, but it's very different.
Right, and it can be very hard for nowadays because you kind of have to create content. At least here at the station, we create content with the show that will work on YouTube and on Spotify and on the air, and now on Twitch and stuff. So it can be hard to make it so that it fits all the different genres or platforms or, isn't it?
Exactly. It's very hard because a lot of psychology and advertising goes into it, because when you do these radio shows, you have to think of audiences, who do I want to attract to this platform or this message, whether or not it's older people, younger people, men, women, boys, girls, other people. It's very hard to just pick a certain audience, and it's very hard, believe it or not, sometimes when you're advertising a product to advertise towards all people.
Yeah, right. Well, we are so glad that you're here, and you'll get us more of the youth audience. It's going to be so exciting with Twitch, and you're going to cover some stories too. That's really exciting. Tell me about a story that you covered for college. You super proud of.
Wow, it's very hard to pick just one. I'll pick two.
Okay.
Two stories I'm very proud of.
I'm the same way. I would probably pick three if you...
Okay, I'm not the only one who thinks the same way.
We're in media.
Wow, two I would pick would probably be Barack Obama speaking at Hamilton College, because Phoenix Radio is all about many different things but local things, and that was just so amazing to think President Obama was locally. You never think an area like this.
In Clinton.
And he talked about so many great things. And I would have to say number two would be when I studied abroad in England, just the different... People say England's like a mini America, but it's very different, the different lifestyle and the different culture. Just really with Obama being a president, England being a culture, just different world things, learning about cultures and how the world works, just those types of stories have been my favorite.
Those are great experiences you got to have, as a journalist. That's really good that you got to do that kind of stuff, and see things from those perspectives. So you're going to bring a lot to the station. We're so glad that you're here, and each week we'll find out about the work that you're doing here at the station. I'll keep people posted, and soon we'll be on Twitch. So Lily, Christopher, welcome to 95.5 from the Heat and Hot Seat Media Monday.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to getting to connect with you all through
Awesome.
Phoenix.
So you're going to pass your mic back to Brian there. So we're going to rejoin our conversation with Brian Lazore and Erik Fredsell, powerlifter and co-owner of the Fitness Mill. And we're talking about how, one of the things that I think we all feel, even though I've been doing this for a while, working out and stuff, I feel sometimes, I don't know, we feel self-conscious still. I think that's something that has to be maybe acknowledged more. It's that everybody feels like that too. It's not just the girls, it's the boys too, and the guys, and I feel like that still. So.
Yeah, I think the same. And that's when I asked you, was it Eric? Okay?
Yes.
I asked you off the air, what's your advice for people who they're shy in the gym because they're not knowledgeable and they're worried about people making fun of them. For example, if somebody's only used to the treadmill and elliptical, then they leave the gym right afterwards and don't touch no weights because they're afraid of how other people perceive them, what advice would you have? I already know what advice I would tell somebody because I've been there. But what would you say as an owner and more into working out?
I mean, that's probably the number one thing that everybody asks when they come to the gym, that they're afraid of going onto the gym floor. I mean, it's understandable when you first get into the gym that it's going to be a different experience. There's a lot of people there, but
yeah.
mostly everybody is very friendly there. And once they get into that groove and they know when they are shown how to use the equipment properly, they just start making friends with a lot of
with your
members.
gym too, especially like what I like about it is like there's people there from all sizes and all ages. So like you never feel like it's all like people that are super young or super buff or something. It's like really everybody's there. But Brian, like what advice would you give people? You said your
To
advice.
ask questions.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how his gyms work, but I know some gyms in the past, even I've gone to, I didn't know how to use a piece of equipment or something.
Yeah.
I'd ask a worker or
Yeah.
sometimes even somebody who's nearby. Number one, you don't want to hurt yourself.
Right.
If you don't understand the equipment or the weights,
Yeah.
ask, so you don't
And there's new stuff.
hurt
'Cause
yourself. And then-
actually, I never heard about doing like five sets of 5 reps. I always aimed for 3 sets of 12 reps. So like, is that a new thing, or is that something like I should be doing, or that's like a different thing?
No, it's just, for people to start out powerlifting, if they want to just start out bodybuilding.
See, I always thought that was the opposite. I thought if you wanted to be more lean, that was where you did more sets. But that if you wanted to be bigger, that it was like you did less sets. But
I mean,
or is that just like different people do different ways? You got your
it's
own
literally
way, or?
dependent on, each person's physiology, how they recover.
Yeah.
It's totally dependent on that. I mean, some people can gain quite a bit of muscle doing more volume work, and doing more frequency though. I mean, it's different when you have to look at your own maximum recoverable volume. What can you do and still recover from?
Yeah,
And that's
right.
individual dependent.
Oh.
So you can recover from doing 3 sets of 12 and you're making progress. Keep doing what you're doing. If you're not, then
Like, what is progress that would be a reasonable amount of progress?
I mean, fat loss, muscle gain,
Yeah,
strength
yeah.
gain. Just
So like the kind of stuff that like I have a phone app that kind of tracks all that. Like that's would be like I would just see if that's going in the right direction and stuff, and like more than like necessarily like even if I don't increase the weights, as
Yeah,
long as
I
I'm
mean-
like either keeping where I want to be or going in the right direction.
reactive training systems, they have a free platform to use where you can track your progress and actually gives you feedback on your fatigue level and how you should program your
It tracks you while you're
your
doing it?
your microcycle for the next week. So like
wow.
your 4-week mesocycle looks different than your individual microcycle week to week.
What's the difference? What is?
So when you're doing microcycle, it's week to week inside of your mesocycle.
What's a mesocycle?
It's your periodized block. So if you're
Like a
aiming-
longer period of time.
I mean, the landscape's kind of changed, around, like I was telling you earlier with daily undulating periodization, it's kind of moved back towards, we're going to do more blocks aimed at not as much volume during the week,
Yeah.
a little bit more frequency, but we're going to start off lighter and build to the 4th week to something, that you would consider a working weight or a sub-maximal load, but it's still around 80 to 90% of your true 1 rep max.
So if a person wants to get involved in this, like how much time commitment would you recommend? Like say an average person, like maybe like middle age, like 40 or older or something, like how much, like how often per week to get results and like.
I mean, like I said, it's all individual dependent.
Yeah.
Like, back in the day, there was 1,000 cookie cutter programs
Right.
online, and
Yes.
some people saw great success, some
Yeah.
people didn't. Everybody's physiology and morphology is different. Everybody's leverages are different.
There's a lot of technology that's changed though too, like your hydro massage bed. That's a new thing that wasn't around. What does that actually do? And the red light therapy. What does that do?
So the hydro massage bed just helps with circulation, blood
This is a little bit
flow.
more straight.
Yeah,
forward a massage
it's,
bed. But
it's literally just for muscle repair.
yeah.
Same thing with the red light therapy machine.
What does that do?
It's just for skin rejuvenation.
So like how does like the red light how does it
it's like the science behind it, that I don't know.
Oh,
I
well,
just know
like
that.
you guys offer like you have 315 Hydrate now. And
Yeah, so David Freed, he's a registered nurse. He works under the care physician. He has a $60,000 red light therapy machine, but it's supposed to give good results with weight loss, with muscle repair.
Yep.
If you have an old injury, it's supposed to help. He's now selling peptides too, so BPC 157, TB 500. That works through angiogenesis, so it creates new blood vessels, capillaries in your body to promote blood flow to damaged areas.
So there's a lot more than just like exercise now. There's a lot of things like
there's a lot of different things. I mean, the peptides, the BPC, and the TB are just amino acid chains. So I've explained that a lot to people. They're literally just
right.
BCAAs basically that actually work.
So the peptides people talk about, like like Moderna was a peptide, right? The Ozempic and the weight loss stuff, is that a peptide? That's like
No, Ozempic's not a peptide. That's a drug, but peptides are completely different from that. I wouldn't recommend people get on Ozempic, but
so but there's lots of people can do now that's scientific, like a lot of to go along with like the weight loss.
Yeah, there's a lot more supplements now. There's a lot more studies that have been done on what's efficacious at taking.
Do you think it's important, like for a health club now, to have like all that stuff, like more like a variety of stuff?
I think the landscape's changed with gyms over the last 20 years. People don't want a gym just to work out in. They want basically the Walmart gyms. They want you to be able to do everything. They want food. They want to be able to get supplements there. They want to be able to tan. They want to be able to sauna. They want to be able to have massage. They want options and they want amenities for the price.
What's surprising most about having a business? Like going from someone who works out at a gym to someone who works your gym.
It's tough some days.
What's the hardest part?
Just keeping up with the maintenance.
Yeah.
Everything gets so much usage that things constantly need to be maintained.
I bet they break a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean
people are now,
Yeah, I wish people would stop pouring water on the rocks in the sauna.
Oh yeah. I think I've been
nice.
there when that's happened a few
Yeah, I
times.
wish they would stop bringing water bottles in there, which they've been asked to do multiple times not to take them in there.
What does the sauna do for people? Like I've never used that. Like
it's great.
if you lose weight through sweat, did you like literally lose weight? Like does it help?
It's for muscle recovery.
It helps you recover
Yeah,
the muscles.
it definitely helps you with muscle recovery. It's our sauna gets up to close to 200 degrees.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a great. I mean, I know some people that like to go in for 5 to 10 minutes just to warm up before they lift. And I know guys that like to go in after and then use the steam room right after.
Oh yeah.
So we'll use both.
I was always afraid that I would be like super cold after. It's like if I did that and took a shower.
Guys come up the front desk and tell us it's a game changer.
Really? Oh, maybe I should try it
them.
then. Yeah. Well, I'd like the icing machines. Like give those a try, and it's like I love your icing machine.
And we got protein ice cream coming.
You got that
sandwiches
too?
coming.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be the one-stop shop for
That's
everybody.
like everything there. And this show on the 14th too. We'll get stuff about that up on our website and stuff.
Yeah, the powerlifting competition. That
Yeah.
was good. Then we got the Adopt-a-thon that's happening.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
May 23rd.
What is that?
Anita Swan Main Society. We're just working in conjunction with the American Heart Association to do an Adopt-a-thon.
So will there be like pets at the?
There's going to be pets, puppies.
At the fitness mall?
Yeah, it's going to be from 4 to 7. There's going to be pets, puppies, food truck vendors. You'll be able to bring your dogs, walk them on the track.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh nice.
Yeah.
There will be fun.
Yeah.
There will be fun.
So we got a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Yeah.
that we're doing.
Yeah. And your website is fitnessmill.life.
Yeah, the fitness pulled
The
out.
fitness pulled out, like, yep. So Brian, what are you working on now? What do you?
Oh, I got a lot of projects, but I want to ask you a question first.
Ask me a question. You go right ahead.
So I started dabbling in doing public photography and like journalism type stuff.
Yeah.
And I call it off the record with Lazore photography.
Yep.
But you're calling me a journalist.
Yes.
So let me ask you, what defines a journalist?
A journalist, I would say, is somebody who goes out there and gets the story, who goes on and gets the story and like reports what happened. Literally, I suppose someone who like writes down, keeps a journal, reports what happens, I guess.
Because I transitioned to doing my podcast, my talk show itself, and then I do newsreels and I do slight interviews. But I don't tell people I'm a journalist. But
I would
it's
say
nice
that
if
you are
people
because
perceive me
you
as
interview
that.
people and you like ask people questions. You ask people questions and you get their answers. You record them, and so and then you make it into a news report.
Right.
So I would say that you.
I was just asking what
Yeah.
your definition is, because like me as a photographer, I don't like calling myself a professional. One, I've only been doing it a little over a year and a half.
I would say you're
self-taught.
definitely a professional.
And
You're like one of the most
I
well-known ones
appreciate
around
that.
here.
But see, I can fall back on and still be an amateur in case I mess
Yeah.
up. But I don't like to label myself. It's nice. I let my clients and customers decide my worth if I'm worthy enough to be called.
Well, because nowadays, I mean, people ask me like what I am. I would say I'm a journalist, but I would also say like, and I should add this faster, is a multimedia journalist, because nowadays you gotta be. That's really like
it's
that's
kind of
what
what
you
I do.
are. Yeah, because you have the podcast, you make video, you take
I
photography.
dabble in a little everything.
Right.
And
Yeah.
one, because I enjoy it, and two, because photography is one of
It's
the
kind of like
hardest
the
fields.
basis of your thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but photography is a hard field to break into. The market's so oversaturated.
Yeah.
And I've had good guidance of people I've met and
Right.
stuff I learned myself. But the key to it, and I tell this to other photographers, I mean, the ones who are going to succeed are the ones that don't give up during the hard times, because there's so
Yes.
many of them out
Yes.
there.
Right,
And then
right.
there's so many photographers out there that do overcharge.
Right.
And there's so many out there that way undercharge themselves.
Right, right.
And if you're not in a meeting of what your fees are and prices are, you're not going to succeed, because you're not going to be able to pay your business expenses. You know?
Right.
So
yes.
I made a post on my social media the other day. Know your worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want
right.
to overcharge, but you also don't want to undercut yourself.
Right, right. You gotta take yourself seriously, or other people won't
Yeah,
either.
I'm not a
It's like-
photographer who told me he charges $50 an hour. I looked at his work. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
here's more than $50 an hour, because
Yeah.
you got business expenses, and people don't realize that. Plus the wear and tear on our equipment.
Yep,
Getting
yep.
fixed, getting our cameras clean,
Yep.
and the equipment. If you get into professional
Getting out there
photography
and
stuff,
stuff,
it's not
you know.
it's not cheap.
And the time, I mean, doing this kind of stuff, the media stuff that we do, it takes so much
Yeah,
time. It's like- it's
and even though I'm a business, I love doing charity work and donation.
Oh,
work.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I donated my business to Utica Royalties Youth
Yeah,
Program.
yeah. You just,
I do a lot of pro bono stuff with the Veterans Outreach Center.
Right, right.
And then if
right.
there's a public event, it depends. Sometimes I'll go out and take pictures, give them out for free.
Yep.
And sometimes I sell.
Right. So, Brian, before we go, Armed Forces Day is Saturday.
Saturday, 12 to 2.
Where?
Harley Davidson of Utica over at New York Mills.
Yep. And when is the adopted-thon at the fitness mill?
May 23rd.
What time?
4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
And then what's coming up on the 14th, June 14th?
June 14th, we have our powerlifting meet starting at 9 a.m. If you want to sign up, link is on our website. It's online on our Instagram or Facebook page.
Awesome. We'll have information on the show notes. Today we were talking to Erik Fredsell, a powerlifter and co-owner of the Fitness Mill, and photographer and journalist Brian Lazore. We also have our new intern Lily Christopher. I'll have the video, podcast, and show notes online Wednesday at uticaphoenix.net/Media Monday. Our sound engineer is Jonathan Brooks, DJ Jay Easy. He's up next with Easy Ride Home. Jim Hale records the show for YouTube and podcast. Nabil Khan is our entertainment correspondent. I'm Ron Klopfenstein. I'll be back next week with another Hot Seat Media Monday.